What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back for another Pokemon challenge video. Today we're on Pokemon Radical Red and today's challenge be can I beat Pokemon Radical Red 4.0 with our last two random monotypes. So on our wheel today we actually get 50-50 on each one. We get ourselves the rock type mono, so that means this week's gonna be rock type, next week is gonna be the final monotype, it's gonna be poison, which a lot of people in the comments have said is actually pretty difficult. So I'm very interested in that one, and I was pretty scared of this one as well because rocks, I have a bad history with rock type Pokemon in this game and they've been pretty difficult, but maybe this time around I'll have a better time. So if you guys don't know what we're doing, we're on Pokemon Radical Red 4.0. It's a really hard ROM hack of Pokemon Fire Red with upgraded AIs, upgraded moves, newer Pokemon, all that. And there's even a harder mode called Hardcore mode, and it's very difficult. It actually limits your ability to perform and gives all the advantages to the AI. So it's going to be very interesting on how this is going to work out. And as well, like always, each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments. So thanks so much for leaving a nickname in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after a future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully I'll pick yours. And while I was down there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. So to begin it off, we're actually on my new computer that I built, and it's a little rough around the edges. I'm not too sure if I'm missing anything. I feel like I'm still like feels the same, it looks the same. I want to keep the feel of my videos very similarly, even though I'm transferring to a new PC. Hopefully it still looks out better. It performs way better. Like actually, I did not know how fast the emulator could go on a non-outdated computer. So of course I'm actually having a lot of fun just trying it out. And obviously there is no rock type starter Pokemon, so we have to go through the first bit of the game until we get ourselves the Dex Snap. That will allow us to get ourselves, well, we could get Pokemon earlier on, but get the Dex Snap so we can catch Pokemon wherever we go. We have to get some repeat Pokemons because, you know, there's not a lot of rock type Pokemon, but we do fill our team pretty well as we're able to beat down Brendan on our first try and most of the trainers in Viridian Forest as we make our way into Pewter City. Now once we're in Pewter City, we're gonna actually go into the Egg Merchant, which is probably the first thing I should do, and I should just start resetting until we get another rock type Pokemon. And we decided to get Arkin earlier. We get Arkin later on, but I think I prefer getting Arkin right now because this could be really useful as we face off against Falkner, the first mini boss in the game. He's in the museum and we're actually gonna clear him down pretty easily, and once we beat Falkner down, we're able to access into the first gym in the game. So once we do that, we face off against Brock, and Brock's gonna start the battle off against us as the first gym leader using a Hippopotas. As I use my Binacle, is it Binacle or Barnacle? I forgot, but I'm gonna pivot right into my Dwebble right after to bait into the leap, and then from there I could Fury Cutter and knock out the leap pretty easily. From there, his next Pokemon will be an Arkin, which should go for a Rock Blast and 3-shot him pretty easily. And Dwell was doing a lot of work here, as from there I'm just gonna go out and sack my Arkin, ironically enough, to the Hippopotas, which is okay as I go out into my Dwebble once again, lower the speed of the Hippopotas with 3 Voltos, and then from there my Sudowoodo would knock out the Hippopotas, and also the Cacnea comes out. I'm able to do some chip damage against him, get him down to low HP, then send him my Binacle, which will Accelerock, can knock out the Cacnea, and then Water Pulse into the Lunatone and break the air balloon of the room. And from there I can sack my Binacle, go out into my Rockruff, which would knock out the room and also the Lunatone for us, getting ourselves the first gym badge in the game. Now then I can allow myself to evolve a lot of my Pokemon, which I'm gonna get 2 Gravelers, a Alolan Graveler and regular Graveler, because they both have Sturdy, and Sturdy is basically a free Focus Sash, and with Pokemon with Explosion and Sucker Punch, it's a pretty good trade-off. From there, we're going to move past the boss trainer in Route 4 and then move out into Mount Moon, where we face off against the scientists with a lot of grassy terrain, which is kind of annoying, but we get through them pretty easily, and we face off against Archer, which we struggle for a little bit, but we're eventually able to get through them, and we can make our way into Cerulean City, which the first thing we do in Cerulean City is obviously get ourselves a bunch of Lycanrocs and get the move tutor active. But we don't want to face off against Mist just yet. We will decide to go through the Nugget Bridge and get ourselves the SS ticket, and then skip ahead, we actually move down to Vermilion City afterwards, and we have access to this. There's a lot of things for us to do, but we decided to go back and face off against Misty next. Misty is the second gym leader in the game, and we're going to start the battle off against her using my Dreadnought against her Politoed. Now I'm going to go for a Crunch against the Politoed and 2-shot it, as my Dreadnought gets Toxic, but that's fine. Her next Pokemon will be a Toxicroak as I go out to my Lunatone. I'm able to get Hypnosis off against him and dodge the Sucker Punch, Side Shock into him to 1-shot him, and that should be the battle as we have 2 Pokemon up against her, which I sack my Lunatone against the Ludicolo. And then from there, I go out into one of my Gravelers. I go out to my regular Graveler, go for a self-destruct, doesn't knock out the Ludicolo, so I have to go out to my other Graveler and knock him out with a Thunder Punch. So from there, her next Pokemon will be a Starmie. It's going to knock out my Graveler as I go out into my Relicanth, Head Smash into the Starmie, which will leave me at 1 HP, which is really annoying as it scalds and knocks me out. So from there I could go out into my Dreadnought, which will actually catch the Clocksire. So from there I could crunch into him and get him down to low HP as he knocks me out with a Bodos. I go out into my Lightning Rock, which will bite and knock out the Clocksire, and then a Cell Rock with a Partial Berry to survive the Scald allows me to 2-shot the Mantine with a Cell Rock and also knock out the Starmie with my Lightning Rock. So from there we beat down Misty, decently hard gym I guess. From there we also get ourselves access into a bunch of fossil Pokemon, which we can get through shards, which we'll use later on. From there we go through the SSN, which is not very fun at all. Lucky enough, Cradley is good enough to survive and save us from losing, and then from there we can face up against Lieutenant Surge. Lieutenant Surge is going to be the 3rd gym leader in the game. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Lightning Rock. Lightning Rock's able to go for a Rock Slide and flinch down a Rotom Frost, which, you know, just got a few resets in. From there, I knock out the Rotom Frost. His next Pokemon was going to be a Hisuian Electrode. I go out to my Cradley to bait in the Chloroblast and then get him down to low HP. From there, I go out to my Lightning Rock once again, a Cell Rock to knock him out, which is nice. His next Pokemon will be a Raichu. I go out into my Graveler to dodge his Rise in Voltage, and then from there, I can Bodos and Sucker Punch to knock out the Raichu, and his next Pokemon will be a Mega Ampharos, which I should have gone for a Sucker Punch, but you know what, I try to risk it. He's going to knock out my Graveler as I go out into my Relicanth. Relicanth's able to go for a Head Smash and do a lot of damage to the Ampharos. Unfortunately, it doesn't knock him out, but I can go out to my Lightning Rock to finish off the Ampharos, and his next Pokemon will be a Polna, which will close combat and knock out my Lightning Rock, but I do have a Graveler in the back with Self-Destruct to knock him out, so that's really good for us, as his final Pokemon will be a Hitmonlee. He does a lot of damage, but lucky enough, Acrobatics is just enough to knock him out, and we're able to beat down Lieutenant Surge. Now from there, we're going to move out into the Rock Tunnel to clear through the Rock Tunnel and then face off against this Route Boss Trainer, and pretty simple. I mean, just Misty Explosion, survived it, and then face off against this Hisuian Boss Trainer, which also is blocking off Celadon City from us. We're able to beat them both and then move on into Celadon City, which allows us to catch ourselves a Scyther and evolve it into a Cleavor. Actually, evolve a bunch of other Pokemon. I don't like the fact that Alolan Golem doesn't have Sturdy anymore, so I actually stopped using Alolan Golem after this, so it kind of sucks. Actually worse than Alolan Graveler. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Celadon City's gym leader. We're going to face off against Erica. Erica is going to be the grass type gym leader in the game. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Aggron. Aggron gets 1 flinch off against the Cradley to deny rocks and save my Sturdy, and then Iron Tail to knock out the Cradley. From there, her next Pokemon will be a Toxicity as I go out into my Golem. Golem's able to Explosion and knock out a Toxicity for us, and from there, I'm going to go out to my Aerodactyl to catch the Slowbro, and then from there, she's going to switch out to her Kartana, which will knock me out, but I do have my Aggron in the back with Fire Punch, and was going to knock out the Kartana for us. Her next Pokemon will be a Hawlucha, which ends up knocking out on my Aggron as I go out to my Alolan Golem. I barely survive close combat, but then from there, I could Thunder Punch and knock out the Hawlucha. From there, her next Pokemon will be a Sceptile, which I go out to my Cleavor. She actually pivots out into her Slowbro, which I catch with 2 Stone Axes, and then an X-Scissor to knock him out. And then from there, her next Pokemon will be the Mega Sceptile, which Draco Barrage into me. I do get paralyzed, which is annoying, so I gotta go for a Cell Rock. And then from there, I go out to my Arceus, which will survive the Draco Barrage and knock him out with a Dual Wing Beat as we beat down Erica, which decently hard battle, surprisingly enough. From there, we're gonna move on and face off against Giovanni, which isn't too difficult at all. So we're able to clear through him here, and then we're gonna move out into the Lavender Tower, which we're able to clear through, get ourselves the Poke Flute, and then face off against our rival in Silphco, which we cleared through, which, you know, honestly, it wasn't too difficult. The most difficult part was facing off against Ariana and Archer. It was not working out. There's no way to actually, it took way longer than expected. From there, we're going to face off against Giovanni once again, and he's pretty simple. You know, clear through Giovanni and Silphco, and then we're going to move on and face off against Chuck in his dojo in Saffron City, and we're able to clear through him surprisingly way easier than a fighting type monotype I did. So I don't know what was going on in the fighting type monotype, but from there, we're going to move on and face off against Sabrina next. Sabrina's going to be the 5th gym leader in the game. She also has Infinite Trick Room and also Infinite Misty Terrain, but lucky enough for us, we start the battle off against her using my Rampardos and Dreadnought, and Rampardos is so slow that it actually works in this. So I made an Aqua Jet with my Dreadnought into the camera and then Rock Slide, and from there I can actually knock out the camera, and I barely survive a Muddy Water from it as well. From there I can outspeed a Magearna and Tapu Fini, go for an Aqua Jet and Rock Slide, and from there I do a nice bit of damage to both of them. As from there I got to my Mac Cargo. I'm using Mac Cargo, is crazy enough, yeah. Mac Cargo goes for a Flamethrower, and then using my Golem, I go for a Headlong Rush to knock out the Tapu Fini, and we had a double KO on their side, which is pretty nice. From there, her next Pokemon will be a Glacier, and also Jellicent. I go for a Sucker Punch against the Jellicent to do some nice damage. Golem survives, but Mac Cargo will not. As I go out to my Gigalith next, Gigalith is able to go for a Stone Edge against the Glacier, and Sucker Punch from my Golem to knock out the Jellicent. Glacier does a lot of damage to us into my Sturdy range, but I'm able to knock him out, as her final Pokemon will be an Iron Hands, which I had to sack my Golem, but I go out out to my Sudowoodo. I kind of messed up by going for counters here, but it works out as I'm eventually able to counter into him and then Sucker Punch to knock out the Iron Hands. And from there, we beat down Sabrina and we can move on. So from there, we're going to move on into Cycling Road to clear through all the trainers in here and get into Fuchsia City, where we face off against Brendan in front of the Safari Zone, which again, he's not too difficult. We're able to clear through him and then move out into the Safari Zone, get ourselves the HM for Surf and Strength. And then the fun part, we get to rematch the gym leaders. And now the only reason it's fun is because once we beat Brock, we have access into the Mega Aerodactylite, which will Mega Evolve my Aerodactyl, making it probably the fastest Pokemon you can attain in this game. So it's going to be really useful. As from there, we're going to move on and face off against Misty. She's not too difficult, and Lieutenant Surge gets cooked up by Aerodactyl. So again, Aerodactyl is really good. From there, we're going to move on and face up against Koga next. Koga is the 6th gym leader in the game. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Aggron. Eventually, we're going to actually way around into the Tapu Lele. Actually misses a Focus Blast, which takes a little bit, but eventually it's going to miss. Eventually, right? There we go. It misses. I Iron Head, one-shot it, and then his next Pokemon will be a Nidoking. I do have Sturdy on and Metal Burst to one-shot the Nidoking, so it's working really well. His next Pokemon after that will be a Crocodile. Normally, I would be afraid, but I sack my Aggron. I go out into my Dreadnought, and Dreadnought can counter into him, counter back the Earthquake, and knock out the Crocodile. The Toxicity comes out, it's going to knock out my Dreadnought as I go out into my Golem. Golem could go for an explosion, but Headlong Rush is pretty free as well, so we're going to knock out the Toxicity as the next Pokemon will be a Hoopa Unbound. Sack my Golem, go out to my Crustle, which another sturdy Pokemon. I have 5 sturdy Pokemon. Actually, no, I have all 6 sturdy Pokemon, so I'm able to go for an X-Scissor, survive the Expanding Forest, knock him out, and his final Pokemon will be a Shiyu. Go out to my Gigalith, do some chip damage, go out into my Sudowoodo, and knock him out. So we end up beating down Koga pretty easily, just overall. And then from there, we can move on and face off against Price on Seafoam Island. Get ourselves a Choice Scarf, which is really nice, and also get ourselves a Choice Band on Cinnabar Island, so we'll take that. From there, we face off against May, which, lucky enough, we end up beating her in this situation, so it works out for us. And we move on into the Pokemon Mansion, where we clear through the trainer in here, and then move on into Blaine's Gym. Blaine's Gym is going to be pretty easy, where we face off against the trainers. And yeah, we have Rock-type Pokemon to his Fire-type. It should be pretty simple, as this is my first attempt. We start the battle off against Blaine using my Golem against his Sandy Shock. And from there, I go for a Headlong Rush, and Sucker Punch doesn't do enough damage. So from there, I got to go out to my Aerodactyl to knock out a Sandy Shock, which is okay. He returns the favor, and he decides to sack his Venusaur to me. He goes for Growth. I go for Dual Wing Beat and knock him out. So one cycle him, as his next one will be a Great Tusk. I do a lot of damage with Dual Wing Beat, as he's going to knock me out with a close combat. From there, I go out into my Aggron, which will Iron Head into the Walking Wake as he switched out, and then Metal Burst into him with my Sturdy to knock out the Walking Wake, and his next Pokemon will be a Ho-Oh. I sack my Aggron, go out to my Lycanroc, which, you know, we missed it for a little bit now, but Stone Edge will knock him into his Phoenix form, and I survive an Earthquake from him, so that means I can Accel Rock and knock him out. I didn't actually need to, but from there, he's going to switch out to his Great Tusk. I go for a Thrash. He's going to knock me out, but go out to my Sudowoodo, which will Wood Hammer and knock out the Great Tusk, and his final Pokemon will be a Mega Charizard X, which I Sucker Punch into, but lucky enough, I survive a few attacks, and then from there, he's going to knock out my Sudowoodo, and my Arcanine survives an Earthquake, which I wasn't expecting, so yeah, I don't know how that thing worked out, but I end up knocking out the Charizard X and beating down Blaine, and from there, we're going to show you the power of Mega Aerodactyl. Just absolutely just destroyed everything. It's just so overall good. Like, we just cooked everything. It flinched perfectly. It has the speed for flinches. It has the power just to knock everything out as well. And against Archer, he's really good as well. So Aerodactyl just cleans house against everyone. We beat down Archer and Ariana pretty easily. And then moving on against Giovanni, I was kind of losing this fight, so I went for Explosion for my last play just for fun, and it worked out. So you know what, we'll take that, as Dioka survived, and we beat down Giovanni. So moving on, we're going to face off against the 8th gym leader in the game. I'm going to start the battle off against Claire using my Aerodactyl, which is probably my favorite Pokemon at the moment. I was really excited to use it. We get the flinch on Shuckle and then Stone Edge to knock him out. Her next Pokemon will be Ultra Necrozma. I go for a Crunch, and I'm realizing like it's not doing a lot of damage, so I'm just going to go for the Speed Drop, and then it starts to throw for Dragon Dance. I'm like, okay, that means I outspeed him. Crunch would knock him out, so I don't know what it's trying to do. From there, you can switch out into Eternatus. I get a Bulldoze off to lower the speed at least. Go out into any of my Pokemon, honestly. Go out to my Golem to Headlong Rush and knock out the Eternatus. Her next Pokemon will be Roaring Moon. I gotta sack my Golem. I go out to my Sudowoodo, which will counter into him. Okay, I don't know why I didn't counter, but a Stone Edge into him and a Sucker Punch. I guess works. And then from there I got to my Arcanine, which will Cell Rock and knock out the Roaring Moon. Her next Pokemon will be a Duraludon G-Max, which I got into my Crustle, which is under level, so I'm just gonna sack that thing and then got into my Aggron, which is also under level. But lucky enough, Metal Burst from it would knock him out, as her final Pokemon will be a Magearna. I'm saving my Arcanine in the back just for this thing, as Arcanine is able to Flare Blitz and knock out the Magearna, and we end up beating down Claire. She's very easy. So from there, we're gonna actually decide to go back. Completely forgot about Terrakion. I'm like, oh, my bad, dog. So I catch myself with Terrakion, add it to my team, and then go back. Face off against my rival in Route 22, which we actually struggle a little bit. And then facing off against Brendan, he's a little easier, as we clear through Brendan. And then from there, we can make our way into Victory Road. Clear through Victory Road. We actually don't want any Choice Scarfs this time, because most of my Pokemon only have Sturdy, so Choice Scarf doesn't make any sense anyway, so we're reflecting our moveset. My team for the run will be Aerodactyl, Mega Aerodactyl, Aggron, Golem, regular Golem, Terrakion, Cradily for Miracle mainly, and then Sudowoodo just because that's Sturdy and Sucker Punch and Counter. That's most of things, you know. From there, I decided to change the ability of my Terrakion and then also get the Life Orb from Koga, so forgot to get that earlier. But from there, I should be ready. Lorelei's gonna use her Water Team. It's gonna be a bit of a struggle, but we're gonna go ahead and start early for challenge, as we're gonna start the battle off against Lorelei's Water Team using my Cradily and Aggron. Aggron, lucky enough, I'm going to get a Thunder Wave off with my Aggron into the Iron Bundle. I do get faked out on my Cradily, which is fine. From there, I can Giga Drain into the Iron Bundle and then Metal Burst into the Ludicolo, and does a lot of damage to both Pokemon, as both my Pokemon survive as well. From there, I can Giga Drain into the Iron Bundle. It's going to protect itself, and then the Ludicolo is going to knock on my Aggron. From there, I'm going to switch out into my Terrakion with a Choice Scarf, and it's going to knock out both the Iron Bundle and Ludicolo. Her next two Pokemon will be a Swampert and Palkia. I'm going to get a Rock Slide off against them. It doesn't flinch them, as it's going to knock out my Terrakion, but I'm able to get a Giga Drain off against Swampert to knock him out. From there, I go out into my Golem, which I know my Cradily is going to get knocked out, which I go for an Explosion and knock out the Palkia in return. So it's actually working out pretty well for us, as her final Pokemon will be a Dragonite and Genesect. My final two will be Aerodactyl and Sudowoodo, and all I got to do is actually attack down the Genesect. So from there, I'm just going to focus the Genesect, Rock Slide and Stone Edge to knock him out, and then from there, the Dragonite doesn't do anything. We're able to Rock Slide and Stone Edge once again to knock him, and from there, we beat down Lorelei's Water Team, which wasn't too difficult at all. So from there, we can move on and face off against Bruno next. Bruno's the fighting type Elite Four member. He can start the battle off against us using their Shifu. I'm just gonna reset, but it's not working out. Oh no, I didn't reset. I decided to actually pivot from my Aerodactyl, switch out to my Sudowoodo, catch the Necrozma, and then counter it. So I ended up knocking out the Necrozma. His next Pokemon will be a Zacian. So okay, sack my Sudowoodo, go out to my Aggron to Metal Burst and knock out the Zacian, which is nice. From there, he's gonna switch out to his Iron Valiant. It's going to knock on my Aggron as I go out to my Cradily, and Cradily has the Focus Sash on with Mirror Coat. Mirror Coat's into the Iron Valiant, which works out, and his next Pokemon will be a Hawlucha. I go out into my Golem. Golem's able to go for an easy Explosion to knock out the Hawlucha, and from there his final Pokemon will be, well, his last two Pokemon will be pretty easy for Aerodactyl. I can outspeed a Urshifu with Dual Wing Beat, and his final Pokemon will be a Mega Metachan, which I go for a Dual Wing Beat to knock him out in one cycle. We ended up beating down Bruno and, yeah, securing our win against him. From there, we're going to move on and face off against Agatha. Agatha is the third and Ghost type Elite Four member. She's going to be a little annoying, so what my strategy is, I need to deny rocks, because four of my Pokemon rely on Sturdy and a Focus Sash just to revenge kill everything, essentially, or just to reflect damage. So I had to Supersonic into the Crocodile, hope it hits itself in confusion, and then switch out to my Terrakion and hoping for another 50-50 for Crocodile to hit itself. On top of that, Supersonic is only 55% accurate, so it's actually, you know, it's not the worst odds, honestly. It's doable. I did it within like 10 tries. I know it worked out. So I made a close combat and knock out the Crocodile. Her next boom will be a Calyrex, which I was afraid is gonna knock out my Terrakion. So I was thinking about sacking him, but I got to my Aggron in spite of that, and it works out as it goes for a Nasty Plot, and from there I can just stay in, go for Metal Burst, and knock out the Calyrex. Her next boom will be a Victini. I didn't expect it for it to go for a Z Celebrate, so I'm just gonna sack my Aggron, go out to my Aerodactyl, which with Rock Slide I was really expecting it to kill, but it didn't. So from there, it's getting Expanding Force, but lucky enough I survive it. I'm able to Rock Slide and knock out the Victini. Her next Pokemon will be a Mewtwo X, which I go for a Dual Wing Bait. Doesn't kill the Mewtwo, as unfortunately my Aerodactyl will go down. From there, I go out to my Golem for some reason and then just sack him. Stupid play. From there, I'm gonna go out to my Cradley, expecting the Flutter Mane, but then she switched out to Yveltal. I'm like, oh, this is getting a little scary. I confuse right into the Flutter Mane and hope they go for a Moonblast or something. I'm able to catch it with Miracle, and then it's gonna hit itself and knock himself out, which I think is really funny. But from there, Yveltal's gonna knock out my Cradley. I go out into my Terrakion, Stone Edge twice to knock him out as we beat down Agatha. And now, once again, I gotta do it again against Lance. So we gotta teach ourselves Supersonic against Lance. So we're gonna Supersonic, and actually doesn't really work out too well. I don't have a move or special move to deny rocks, and you can't actually get rid of rocks with Rapid Spin against Lance. So we decide to just go for a Supersonic. Hope Glimmora hits itself in confusion, and then roar it out so I deny rocks this way. It's getting really interesting on how I'm deciding to use this. But I roared Glimmora out into the Dialga, which is like the worst thing possible. But I go out to my Sudowoodos to sack him. I get some chip damage with Sucker Punch, but that's about it. Then go out into my Cradley and hope it stayed in. And it does, as I'm able to Mirror Coat it and knock him out. From there, he's going to switch out to his Arceus Fairy, which I sacked to it. So from there, I go out to my Aggron to Metal Burst into the Arceus. Oh, no, I went for Thunder Wave and then switched out. I guess I really wanted Aggron. I switched out to my Golem. I'm able to go for a Stone Edge, 2 Stone Edge just to knock out the Arceus Fairy, as his next one will be a Dragonite. I decided to switch out. I switched out into my Aerodactyl, taking Extreme Speed, and then take a Z move from him, as Rock Slide doesn't kill. I'm expecting him to switch out. I switch out my Golem, so it works out pretty well for us, as I'm able to Headlong Rush and chip down the Melmetal. I was actually expecting Glimmora, so to get my Golem in to get some more damage, but you know what, Melmetal works, as I'm able to Headlong Rush and do some chip damage. And from there, I go out into my Terrakion to knock out the Melmetal, and his next opponent will be a Rayquaza. I go out into my Aerodactyl, take a Dragon Ascent, not too well, but I can go out into my Aggron, which will Metal Burst and knock out the Rayquaza for us, as his next opponent will be a Dragonite. Sack my Aggron, go out to my Terrakion, knock him out with a Stone Edge, and his final opponent will be that Glimmora. We roar out in the beginning, as we're to Stone Edge twice into him and knock him out. Ooh, if he went for Energy Ball twice, would have been pretty bad for us, but lucky enough it didn't, as we beat down Lance, and now we can move on and face off against our rival as the champion room in the game. So we're gonna start the battle off against him. This Primal Groudon really does not like Golem, so he always focused me if I send him my Golem, so I deny rocks that way, so not a big hazard for us. And we're just gonna reset into, I don't know why I think I wanted more damage. Should have gone for Expert Belt, but I went for a Muscle Band, and I'm able to go for a Headlong Rush into the Groudon. And from there, I can Sucker Punch, do some more chip damage. He's gonna knock me out, which is fine. I go out to my Aerodactyl, which will Mega Evolve and Dual Wind Beat to knock out the Groudon. From there, his next opponent will be an Arceus Ground, which I go out to my Cradley. I Mirror Coat into him, and then from there, it's got a waiting game until he attacks me. Mirror Coat into him and will knock him out, as his next opponent will be a G-Max Eternatus. I sack my Cradley, but I go out into my Aggron next. Aggron's able to go for a Metal Burst, gets burned with the Flamethrower, but you know what, it still works out, as Metal Burst will knock him out, as his next opponent will be a Koraidon. Koraidon knocks out my Aggron, but I go out to my Aerodactyl, which would 2-shot him with Dual Wing Beat, as he knocks him down pretty low with Collision Course, but I'm able to knock out the Koraidon, as the next opponent will be a Xerneas. I was hoping for an Iron Head flinch here. Does not work out, as he's getting Thunderbolt and knocked me out, but I do have a few Pokemon in the back. Go out to my Terrakion, which will Stone Edge into the Xerneas, and then from there, Moonblast would knock me out, but I do have my Sudowoodo in the back, and Xerneas is the last Pokemon, so Sucker Punch would knock him out. Oh wait, no. His last Pokemon will be a Houndoom. I've knocked out the Xerneas. I do still have my Sturdy intact. From there, I'm able to just survive an attack against the Houndoom, and then go for a Stone Edge to knock him out. So we end up beating down our rival pretty easily, just from off that. I think the hardest Elite Four member we had was probably Lance, but honestly, it was a pretty easy Elite Four run. We had to do a lot of tricks to get around the hazards, because my entire team is built around the Sturdy method, but you know, it might not be the most entertaining because it's not like diverse like move sets, but this is how you gotta get through. You know, it really went by fast. I think about 5 hours. I think part of it was me stalling and me getting like a little tired, because this was over a span of like 2 days, but it was only 5 hours of actual game time and playing the game, so it wasn't too difficult at all. We got through it. Like, I don't think anyone was too much of a struggle, because everyone, you know, got sturdy hits, so it matched up pretty well, because at least every Pokemon got a chance to knock something out, and Aerodactyl was just so strong overall, so it was actually a really easy challenge. You know, I think I argued this was easier than a water type monotype, but yeah, anyways, that'll be it from me today. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name is Alpha, and I hope you guys all had a great day, and I'm out. Peace.